What occurs when a state exhausts its financial resources, yet its population remains? Streets deteriorate, hospitals cease operations, schools disappear, and crime becomes rampant. This scenario is not a mere movie plot, it is already materializing in various parts of America. From states overwhelmed by debt to regions so reliant on a single industry that one shutdown could precipitate a total collapse, this is the unsettling underbelly of the U.S. economy. You might be surprised to learn which states are quietly approaching a critical juncture. Furthermore, if the national economy were to crash, these 10 states would not merely suffer, they would be the first to fall. Is your state already exhibiting these warning signs? Let's investigate. Number 10. Mississippi. You might envision this state as consisting of tranquil southern farmland, but a closer examination reveals a different reality. Mississippi, the poorest state in the U.S., is already in a precarious economic condition, akin to being on life support. Nearly 1 in 5 of its residents lives below the poverty line, and less than 54% of working-age adults participate in the workforce, the lowest rate in the country. The job market is experiencing minimal movement, and economic growth has flatlined. While other states actively welcome innovation and outside investment, Mississippi has an almost negligible foreign business presence, accounting for just 0.03% of its gross domestic product (GDP). It is striking to observe how entire towns seem frozen in time, crumbling under the weight of neglect, with underfunded schools and closing hospitals. Despite these conditions, people continue to live there, striving daily to survive within an economy that is failing them. The critical question is, if an economic crash occurs, how long will it take before this entire system collapses? Would anyone even notice if entire counties effectively went dark? Number 9. Louisiana. One might smell the oil and hear the jazz, but the quiet economic decline is harder to perceive. Louisiana may present a dazzling surface, but fundamentally, it is one of the most financially fragile states in America. Over 18% of its residents live in poverty, and its economy is dangerously dependent on the oil and gas industries, which are highly vulnerable to global shocks. Furthermore, this state ranks near the bottom nationally in education, infrastructure, and health outcomes. When frequent natural disasters are added to this mix, the result is a perfect storm, both literally and economically. The state's rainy day fund is slim, and budget deficits loom year after year. It would be surprising to see how quickly a state like Louisiana could collapse under national economic pressure. What happens if the oil market crashes again, or if a major hurricane strikes during an economic downturn? These are not hypothetical what-ifs, they are tangible warnings. We are observing a state on the edge, and insufficient attention is being paid to its plight. Before we continue, please make sure to subscribe. Your subscription is how we continue to bring you sharp, real-world breakdowns like this one. Number 8. Michigan. It might appear to be a comeback story until you venture down the wrong block. Michigan, once the beating heart of American industry, is quietly experiencing significant economic strain. While the auto factories continue to operate, the state's economic foundation is cracked. In 2024, Michigan had the highest percentage of financially distressed residents in the entire country. Over 38% of people here are behind on their bills, struggling with overdue accounts, bankruptcies, and credit defaults. It is shocking how fast things can fall apart when the economy experiences even a slight stumble. However, this state is already slipping. The issues run deeper than those concentrated in Detroit. In many towns, storefronts are boarded up, schools are underfunded, and roads crumble in silence. This is not just about jobs, it is about stability. Michigan's economy has attempted to diversify, but manufacturing still constitutes a huge portion of its GDP. This means that one shift in the global supply chain, or another downturn in the auto industry, could leave tens of thousands out of work overnight. Unless you are watching closely, you might not even notice until it's too late. Number 7. Texas. Everything is reputed to be bigger in Texas, especially the problems that no one is discussing. Texas may look like an economic powerhouse, but beneath its shiny exterior, a storm is brewing. In 2024, this state ranked number 2 for financial distress among its residents, with nearly 36% facing credit issues, overdue debt, and rising bankruptcies. This surprises most people. However, Texas's rapid growth may actually be its biggest weakness. Cities like Austin and Dallas are booming, but many rural areas are hollowing out. The cost of living is skyrocketing, wages are not keeping pace, and housing prices are pushing people to the edge. Then there is the energy sector, an industry upon which the state leans heavily. Oil market volatility has already caused thousands of layoffs in recent years, and any global shock could hit hard and fast. But the issues do not stop there. While there has been a tech surge, the benefits have not reached the everyday Texan. Before we move forward, please take a second to subscribe. This is how we continue to uncover the truth, bringing you deep dives into what is really happening behind the headlines. Number 6. Illinois. Have you ever seen a house so large that it looks strong, only to discover that its foundation is crumbling? That is analogous to the situation in Illinois, a state with a bold history and powerful institutions, now sitting on one of the biggest financial ticking time bombs in the country. It is shocking to know that Illinois has the worst funded pension system in America, with some estimates placing unfunded liabilities at over $140 billion. That is not a typographical error, and no one seems to have a viable plan to fix it. But the problems do not end there. The state's budget reserve is one of the lowest in the country, leaving almost no cushion if a recession hits. Consequently, when the economy turns downward, services get cut, layoffs follow, infrastructure projects stall, and regular residents, those just trying to survive, are hit the hardest. Schools, transit systems, and hospitals all feel the impact first. Moreover, a significant challenge is that taxes keep rising. Illinois residents already face some of the highest property taxes in the nation, all to pay for promises the state cannot afford. As a result, people are leaving rapidly. In fact, Illinois has lost population for 10 consecutive years, bleeding out middle-class families who are tired of footing the bill for a sinking ship. Meanwhile, cities like Chicago, powerful and iconic, are dealing with their own significant debt. It is not a single problem, it is layers of crises, all stacking higher every year. While people still talk about Illinois as if it is untouchable, insiders know better. When the next economic downturn comes, this state may not just wobble, it may crack wide open. So, if you are living here, the question is not will it happen, but rather, are we ready when it does? Number 5. Hawaii. They call it paradise, but even paradise can go broke. Behind the beaches and palm trees, Hawaii is one of the most financially fragile states in America, a fact of which most people are unaware. It would surprise many to learn how many residents are struggling just to get by in a place that tourists save their whole lives to visit. In 2024, Hawaii ranked near the bottom for economic performance and at the top for cost of living. However, it is not just expensive, it is also isolated. Over 20% of the state's GDP depends on tourism, which means global events such as pandemics, wildfires, or airline slowdowns hit harder here than almost anywhere else. Consider what happened during the pandemic or after the Maui wildfires. The entire economy staggered, and it has not fully recovered. Even essential goods like milk, gas, and medicine cost significantly more because almost everything must be imported. Housing is a major issue. Locals are being priced out of their own communities. In fact, a growing number of Hawaii natives are leaving the islands altogether, moving to the mainland just to survive. It is an exodus that is rarely discussed but is very real. While government debt remains high, budget flexibility is low. The economy has almost no backup plan if tourism takes another hit. One global disruption could pull the rug out from under the entire system. That dream of endless sunshine, for many locals, has become a daily storm cloud of financial pressure. So, the question is, how long can paradise hold together when its foundation is already cracking? Number 4. Nevada. Bright lights flash and jackpots are hit, but if you take a step behind the curtain, you will find a state living on the edge. Nevada thrives predominantly on one thing: entertainment and tourism. In fact, over 25% of its entire workforce is tied to the hospitality and leisure industries. However, this very dependency is what makes it dangerously vulnerable. The moment people stop spending, this economy does not just slow down, it crashes. This has happened before. Looking back to the Great Recession, Nevada was ground zero for the housing collapse, suffering the highest foreclosure rate in the nation for years. Entire neighborhoods were abandoned, seemingly overnight. Fast forward to the present, and while Las Vegas has bounced back, the foundation is still shaky. It is shocking how quickly a drop in tourism caused by anything from a global recession to a natural disaster can ripple through every inch of this state. Here is another critical point. Nevada has one of the smallest state budgets per capita, with very limited funding for healthcare, education, and emergency services. There is no state income tax, which sounds appealing until there is no money for basic infrastructure. When disaster strikes, the state relies heavily on sales taxes and tourism dollars, which dry up rapidly during downturns. While cities like Las Vegas continue to expand, many rural areas are being left behind. Unemployment gaps remain high outside urban zones, and access to quality healthcare and education is patchy at best. Some counties report shortages of teachers, doctors, and even reliable internet. Number 3. Kentucky. With its rolling hills, coal country charm, and rich heritage, Kentucky presents an appealing image. But look closer, and you will find a story of decline hiding in plain sight. Kentucky, once a proud manufacturing and mining powerhouse, now faces a dangerous reality. Its economy is among the most distressed in the nation. Nearly 20% of its residents live below the poverty line, and in rural areas, that number climbs even higher. However, it is not just about income, it is about disappearing opportunities. It is surprising how entire counties have lost access to basic services. Hospitals are closing, schools are underfunded, and the opioid crisis has devastated entire communities, with recovery efforts being slow, uneven, and underfunded. Meanwhile, job growth is sluggish, and tech investment is nearly non-existent. The world is moving forward, but some parts of Kentucky feel completely left behind. And here is the part no one often talks about. Kentucky has one of the highest dependency rates on federal aid, from food assistance to Medicaid. This means if national budgets tighten, people here suffer quickly. The state's pension system is severely underfunded, and its infrastructure is aging fast. Number 2. Alabama. This is a state where tradition runs deep, and communities are tight-knit. But look a little closer, and you will find something unraveling beneath the surface. Alabama is quietly falling behind, and not just in one area. The state ranks in the bottom 5 nationally for healthcare, education, infrastructure, and economic opportunity. It is shocking how many people in rural counties lack access to clean water, broadband internet, or even a local hospital. When the economy takes a hit, places like this do not just suffer, they collapse. The poverty rate in Alabama hovers around 16.5%, with child poverty being even higher. Many families are surviving paycheck to paycheck, and when inflation hits or jobs vanish, there is no cushion to fall back on. Furthermore, a large portion of the workforce is tied to low-wage, labor-intensive sectors such as poultry processing, retail, or public service jobs, positions that are often the first to be eliminated during a recession. That is not the only vulnerability. Alabama's education system ranks among the worst in the country, according to multiple national reports. This means the pipeline to future jobs, innovation, and competitiveness is already constricted, characterized by fewer graduates, lower test scores, and limited technical training. So, how can a state compete when it is not preparing the next generation to lead? The situation becomes even more concerning when you examine its infrastructure. More than 40% of rural roads are in poor or mediocre condition, and aging bridges across the state threaten daily commutes and local economies. With low public investment and limited federal dollars reaching some areas, there is little hope of rapid improvement. But perhaps the biggest red flag of all is that Alabama is heavily dependent on federal funding to keep essential services running. From education to Medicaid, the state's financial foundation is deeply tied to Washington. So, when national cuts come, or another recession sweeps the country, Alabama will not have the savings or the systems in place to protect its people. It is a state with pride, history, and resilience, but pride does not pay the bills. When the cracks finally widen, Alabama may find itself at the top of a list no one wants to be on. Number 1. West Virginia. Situated within the mountains, West Virginia is a place of natural beauty, hard work, and deep roots. However, it is surprising how fast those roots are being pulled from the ground. West Virginia is one of the most economically vulnerable states in America today. Over the last decade, it has lost more population than almost any other state, shrinking year after year as jobs disappear and young people leave in search of better futures. But that is just the beginning. This state ranks dead last in workforce participation, with fewer than 55% of working-age adults employed or even seeking work. That is not just a statistic, it is a signal. When nearly half your population is outside the workforce, your economy is running on fumes. While the coal industry once built this state, it has now largely left it behind. Thousands of mining jobs are gone, and there has not been a reliable replacement. Many communities that once thrived on coal have become ghost towns, quiet, empty, and hopeless. The healthcare situation is troubling. West Virginia has the highest rate of drug overdose deaths per capita in the nation, and access to mental health services severely limited. Hospitals in rural areas are shutting down, forcing residents to drive hours just for basic care. Combined with high rates of diabetes, heart disease, and obesity, the state's public health system is overwhelmed and underfunded. Regarding education, West Virginia again shows bottom rankings. Graduation rates are low, and few students pursue higher education in-state. Those who do often leave and do not return, primarily because the job market simply does not support skilled labor on a large scale. Here is something even more alarming. Nearly one-third of West Virginia's state budget comes from federal aid. This means when national policies tighten or federal support slows, the entire system trembles. It is not just bad planning, it is a slow-motion collapse already in progress. West Virginia may be beautiful, proud, and full of history, but economically, it is one of the first states likely to suffer deeply in a national downturn. If that downturn happens soon, many of these communities may never recover. So, there you have it, 10 U.S. states that could be the first to collapse if the economy crashes. Each one has its own story and its own challenges, but the signs are everywhere: rising poverty, crumbling infrastructure, vanishing jobs, and a deep dependence on fragile systems. Some of these places once stood strong as industrial giants or cultural icons, but now they are hanging by a thread. And here is the significant question: is your state next? Are you paying attention to the warning signs in your own backyard? If you found this video eye-opening, please do us a favor: subscribe, like, and share. It helps more than you know. Every click helps us continue producing content that tells the truth, digs deeper, and uncovers what others will not. Because in times like these, staying informed is not just smart, it is essential for survival. Thank you for watching, and stay sharp, because the next collapse may be closer than you think.